Public session after an exec session upstairs. Thank you for your patience, everybody. And because it's spring break, which of course I was supposed to know, we don't have any students here to be recognized or receive awards.
Or staff.
Or staff, right, because everybody's taking a well-deserved vacation, which is great. So we will go straight to the athletics.
We have to reconvene.
Well, we've reconvened.
Oh,
Here
did
we
we
are.
reconvene? Oh.
Yeah. Once we got everybody's computer awake again, we're good. So, Mr. D'Amato is here to give us an athletics update.
Good evening, everyone. How are we?
Hello.
There's no break for athletics, so we're here rolling during spring break for everybody.
Well, you're making them all work doubly hard because they don't have to go to class.
That's right. Teams are out there practicing. Obviously, we are excited for spring season. It's nice when everybody kind of gets back outdoors. You see, hundreds of our kids outside practice on the baseball, softball, and track fields. We are in a little bit of a transition period as competitions just kind of started for us this spring. But it's a big week for us as far as spring sports go. We are hosting the 41st annual Weingart this year.
When is that?
That is, so we've made this a 3-day extravaganza, track extravaganza. There's the middle school meet on Thursday. We've added a Weingart under the lights on Friday. That was kind of geared towards some of the smaller schools that have traditionally participated in our meets, and then it does allow some of the JV runners as well to participate in that. So, and then the big meet kind of culminates Saturday. So weather's looking good so far for at least Thursday and Friday. Our fingers are crossed for Saturday, but we're anticipating over 80 teams to participate with us this year. So the whole event has grown tremendously. Obviously, we appreciate all of our parents and volunteers who have really helped us make this thing something that's a lot of schools want to attend in the spring. So just some movement going on in the Greater Cleveland Conference. That is the conference we belong to. Our friends from Lorraine will be joining the league next school year. They will bring the league to 8. Lorraine was a member of the Lake Erie League, which some of you are aware we left a few years ago. So they will be joining the Greater Cleveland Conference next school year. At the conclusion of next school year, Medina will be leaving to join the Suburban Conference, but we did just vote in Painesville Riverside to bring us back to 8 for the 26, next year's 26, 20, right? No, 25, for 26, 27 school year, we'll be at 8 starting next year, and then a different 8 in the following year. So just some better stability with the league in terms of even numbers in 8, and it just kind of helps us with that stuff. So we're excited how that's all going to kind of shake out for everybody. We did launch a rugby club this year. Mr. Munson, Matt Munson, our new art teacher, had some experience in that plan. So we actually get started next week. They'll be practicing at Denison and hopefully culminating the season with a scrimmage with our friends at Shaker. So that's exciting for us. We did launch a new website and app recently. HeightsTigers.org is the website, but we'd like to put a shameless plug in for the app so people can start using that. It's very user-friendly. I think folks will find that even more accessible and user-friendly than even the website. If you go to the App Store and just put in Cleveland Heights Athletics, everything you need is there. I think it's going to really be a great opportunity for our families, coaches, kids, and the community. So I think people will be excited about that.
Oh, yeah, huh?
Dan has loaded it up already. Okay.
I have this addiction to high school baseball.
Yes. And then finally, we do have a number of new coaches with us this spring and kind of heading into next year. Mike Lynch is our new baseball coach. So he's got those guys rolling. Brianna Roberts has transitioned into our boys volleyball and girls volleyball head coaching position. Jasmine Harper, one of our alumni, has moved on to nursing school, so her time was just not available. We certainly appreciate everything Coach Jazz has done for us. And Lauren Smith has stepped up to coach our boys tennis team. And then finally, we did hire Bryce Jones for our football coaching position. Bryce is a 2012 alum. He's been back since I think mid-January. He's here to say a couple things for y'all, but in his short time, he's been tremendous. The staff he's put together is phenomenal. They're energetic, they're engaging, and I think there's a ton of buy-in from our kids. So I personally am excited for what the future holds for that program, and I think the community should be as well.
Is there any carryover of assistant coaches, or are they all new as well?
This staff will be entirely new.
Okay, thank you.
And that's not uncommon.
I was just curious because, again, we had longevity and continuity for a good long while in the football program.
Yeah, generally, we want our head coaches to build their staff with people they know and trust and can work with. Now, with that said, if there's folks that have interest in staying on or retaining, we'll have conversations with those people. It just didn't work out that way this time.
Okay.
So,
Joe, before that, are we going to have more than 4 home games, football games this year?
we will have 5 next year.
Okay,
It's looking like we may end up with 4 the following year and then 5 again. You know, part of the function of having 4 home games this past year was a lot of schools didn't want to play us. They felt that our program was a little stronger than somebody they'd
Who's our
want to
week
take.
2 opponent?
We are playing Chardon week 2, so we will welcome the Hilltoppers this year and then travel out there the next year or the following year.
Make no
but-
mistake, I will be in black and gold. Doesn't matter what year or what stadium I'm in.
But, yeah, it's a moving part with the football schedule, but ideally, we'd like to land at 5-5 every year if we can.
Okay.
So-
It's just, I mean, it's a lot of work for the band to get together and only do 4 shows. So, and I know since they don't travel with the football team, it's,
We would welcome the band to travel to every game. We'd love for them to come to playoff games, so wherever they see fit to be a part of the whole student experience, by all means, we would love for that to happen. So if there's things we need to do from the athletic side of things to make that a reality for them, just let us know. Nick and I have a pretty good relationship, but, you know, I think the support of the band throughout the contest is a great part of high school and collegiate athletics and adds to the whole atmosphere. So we're definitely in support of that.
okay, thank you.
If I could add one real quick thing before Mr. Jones steps up. Joe was talking a little bit about the Weingart relays, and I think it's just important because it's a great story of giving and community. The Weingart relays are named after a man named Ned Weingart, who is sort of single-handedly responsible for building the tracks that are at Roxborough and Heights High. They were both cinder tracks until Mr. Weingart, a community member, took it upon himself to fundraise for new tracks at both facilities. And I think, I'm not sure about Monticello when theirs came in, but I don't think it was at the same time. But it took a couple of years of fundraising, every creative fundraising idea you can imagine. I was in middle school at the time, and it was just this, like, moonshot, and he pulled it off. And it was just his dedication, one guy in the community who knew the right people. It's just, so anyway, that's where the Weingart name comes from. And his son, Lee, is a governmental relations consultant who sometimes works with the district.
Can I add one other thing? His other son, Mike, who graduated, I think, in '86, has joined Bryce's football staff.
Oh, great.
So Mike is at.
Right, he was 1 year off a really good graduation year.
Yeah, he's helping out, he's helping out with football, and Mike had planned to bring his parents to this year's meet. Unfortunately, the father is having surgery the Friday of the track meet, so that's just not gonna work out, but,
Well, let him know that Pop's got his props.
yeah, for sure. Well, I'll invite Bryce up to say a few words.
Welcome, Coach.
Thank you. Thank you. First off, I want to thank you all as the Board of Education for allowing me to come back home. I say that with a lot of pride. Just, you know, as much as everywhere I've been, like I said before, it's always been about giving back and being able to be here and give back to the kids, give back to the community. So I've truly been appreciative. It does my heart good to finally be back home. It's my first time really being able to say I'm home for the last 12 years since I left out of high school. With the traveling and the playing and the coaching, I've been all over the place, but nowhere has ever felt like being back in Cleveland Heights, University Heights. So I'm truly appreciative. I know my family is. Although a lot of them no longer live here, I will tell you right now, my mother is trying to silently run the program from North Carolina.
Let her
She
do it.
has opinions,
She
huh?
called me this
Very
week.
much. Yeah, so she's made sure that I am getting back involved in the community, getting connected with a lot of the alumni, which has always been the goal for me, is to get a lot of the alumni back involved. That's why it was big bringing in a couple back onto the coaching staff. Still working on a couple more, just so we can have a lot of people around the kids that have truly grown up and been around this community to show them how much it means to them, but also ones that have been around me that have seen what it means to me to be in this community and can then impart that onto our guys. Our guys have been working really hard. From the time I walked in, we started 6 a.m. workouts for a lot of kids, which is something that I was told by some people that would not work because the kids would not show. But on average, we're getting around 15 to 20 kids that show up at 6 a.m. to come work out. We also have a group of kids that come and works out at 3:30 in the afternoon. So we had a pretty consistent group of guys that work really hard, are embracing the discipline and the accountability that we're imparting on them, but more importantly, embracing the academic side of the study halls that we do, the onus that we put on them to continuously look at their Infinite Campus and monitor their own grades beforehand. I think that's the biggest thing you'll see with a lot of our kids is that what we want to emphasize to them is that we are all students first, and emphasizing the academic side, getting them to understand how important it is. They've done a really good job of understanding it, and also we made it also a non-negotiable. So it's not really an option for any of them. You're going to be a great student. You're going to be a great person. You're going to be a great teammate. But at the end of the day, it's all going to build into building a great football player, which is the result of all of that. So hopefully that is what you guys see throughout this season. Like I said, not going to guarantee anything, but at the end of the day, we hope you guys, love the product that you see on the field, the discipline, the camaraderie, the family type atmosphere, and the community joining around these kids, which they deserve, to truly see what the Heights community can really do and be for them, just like it was for me during my time here. So once again, I'm appreciative. Thank you guys so much. I'm truly blessed to be in this position. I'm truly blessed to be back home. And at the end of the day, it's go Tigers to the end forever. Thank you.
Your family who moved away, they're welcome back too.
Yeah.
Yes,
Absolutely.
right.
Oh no, trust me. My dad's been gone from Cleveland since I left for college. My mom, she just retired and went back. Both my brothers, but right now my mom's already got her tickets booked. My dad's
Good.
already got it in his mind. Like, yes, I'm traveling there. They don't have the app. They just have they had the access. They have the direct access. And then both my siblings and all of my siblings, although not all of them went to Cleveland Heights, they all have been a part of the community. So they're ready to come back and put on the black and gold again. My 4-year-old daughter, who is technically from Tennessee, she is excited to come back. When asking her, do you want to be a cheerleader like her nana and like her mom and like my sisters? No, she wants to whistle. She wants to be a coach. So I got one extra coach on my coaching staff who's excited to come back, and everywhere I've been, she's been. So I'm excited to get her around this community as well.
Well, we have excellent preschool that you can bring her to as well.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
And welcome home, Coach Jones. I really appreciate you saying, that you raised some expectations and that students met you there. I'm a firm believer that if we raise our expectations, then our scholars will definitely meet us there. I also am a firm believer that we can use sports and athletics to build community engagement, to build community, just camaraderie, to get people, community members who might not have students in the school, but to still feel a part of the community. And I just want you to know that we're here to support you. I'm here to support you. Your program affects a significant amount of young people, and so I really want to help you be successful in this role.
Yes, ma'am. I appreciate that. And like you said, kids will do what you allow them to do. And our emphasis as coaches and the emphasis I put on our staff is leave no stone unturned. Don't do anything, ask the players anything you wouldn't do of yourself. But more importantly, there's a standard that comes with being able to wear these colors for me.
And also your emphasis on being a student prior
Absolutely.
to an athlete. I'm sure you know how challenging it can be to, be a part of that 53-man roster. It's much easier to be a student that's high achieving.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, ma'am. I appreciate the support. And I hope the kids can feel that from you all as well, just as much as I know I will. And then when it comes to the band, like Joe said, I come from I would love for them to come to every game. If that is something that can be talked through it. I haven't got a chance to meet with the band director in the midst of everything else that I'm trying to drink out of. But I would love for the band to be at every game. I think the band is always your biggest supporters because they're going to play for you, win, lose, or draw. They're there to play, and they're going to do their job. They're kind of like offensive linemen. Offensive linemen don't really care who's behind them. They don't really care who the quarterback or running back is. At the end of the day, they have to do their job. And I look at the band the same way. No matter what, they're going to perform, they're going to be there, and they're going to be the biggest supporters. So if there's a way that can happen, I know we played some games that are a little far out, but if there's a way for them to be a part of it and be there, then I know our guys would appreciate, looking over in the visitor stands and still seeing a lot of black and gold over there as well.
We will be discussing that.
Yes, ma'am.
And one other opportunity, and I don't know if you've been made aware of it yet, you very well might have, is our 8th grade promotions, which happen at the high school for both middle schools. I think it would be a great opportunity to have some football coaching staff there, just in the audience or, just available. It's for many of those kids, it's their first time really spending time in that building for their parents as well. And so much of what you've shared and a lot of the emphasis that you're putting on, the educational component, I think would be great for some of the student athletes who are coming into the building.
I think that's one of the things that you'll like that we have tried to do. So we did start bringing our incoming 8th graders, just so they can be a part of the team. They can really start getting acclimated to the workouts, the ones that aren't running track, obviously. But during that time when I first got in, we started bringing those kids to the high school. So that way, by the time the summer gets here, they're already a part of the family. They've been around the older guys, so the older guys understand they have to take these kids under their wing and have to teach them and show them. So we have started to bring that alignment of bringing those kids around the program. So one, to keep them involved and keep them in the program, but also so they can see it and get acclimated as well to high school. So when they walk into school in the midst of being in season, trying to be a student, trying to be an athlete, at least maybe the football part isn't as big of a transition, or at least being around those guys, they can see them and they know who they have to look out for and who becomes their little brothers as they go through it. But also one of the things I think you'll see with the staffing that we'll do is we'll bring a lot of the high school down to the middle school. So we will go support our middle school programs and be at the football games on Wednesdays when they're playing, during home games, to make sure that they're involved. We want the students that are exemplifying what it means to be a Cleveland Heights football player. We want those kids involved on a Friday night, involving in trying to do things such as like a Tiger of the Week every week for the 7th and 8th graders that are playing. And it may not be the best athlete, but it's the kid that most exemplifies as being a great student, being a great teammate, involved in the community, and has shown true competitiveness throughout the week, really building on the family, the education, the community, and the competitive nature that we want to bring to the program. If they're able to exemplify those things, we want them involved with us on a Friday night running out of the tunnel, doing the water.
That's great.
Giving them something to work for, and it's also something to make the parents proud of them to see their kid running out on a Friday night. Maybe they're only in 7th grade, but they're running out, leading the varsity team out of the tunnel. So those are the things in regards to alignment when it comes to keeping a Heights kid, have become more important to me to make sure that they are involved.
Excellent. And last year, in the University Heights parade,
Memorial Day
yeah,
parade.
Memorial Day
yeah.
parade, we were marching just the group right ahead of the football team. So hopefully that happens again in that order, and then we can march in the parade with you.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
The football players have always been wonderful
Yeah.
during the Memorial Day parade.
Oh, they're the
It's-
stars.
I welcome all the sports teams,
Yeah.
but we really enjoy the football teams, and that means a lot. I mean, it's so cute. The kids are, the kids wanting to catch candy or whatever, are like, "Are you a football player?" And it
And
becomes a
then
whole
Jody
thing.
says, "No, I'm not."
No, I'm not, but they will ask our kids, and they are the rock stars of the parade. so.
Absolutely. And like I said, we'll be involved with our youth programs as well. So, like I said, it's from top to bottom. It's from the varsity guys to our 8 or 7 U football teams, however low it goes. So just building that community and building that family, it doesn't just start and end on Cedar and Lee. It goes a lot further than that, and we really want to be able to tap into all of it.
Great.
Wonderful.
And we do have girls flag football for Little
Yes, we
Miss
do.
Jones at some point.
Yes, we do.
And
got
and we've
girls
had
who-
girls kickers.
playing-
We had
Yeah,
two
yeah.
kickers
And we've
at
got,
the same time at one
we
point.
had
Yeah.
we had a girl sack the opposing quarterback.
When I was in
Year
high school, we had
before?
2 girls.
Yeah.
We had one that played corner and one that played receiver, I believe, that were on the team and played in games. So
Yep.
it's not exclusive. We're actually bringing on a young lady who's moving to Cleveland to be one of the offensive line coaches for us.
That's great.
So bringing in a young lady who's got a really good resume, has worked at a couple really good places. Our other coaches that spoke to her speak highly of her. She's knowledgeable, she's smart, she's been around. And also I think it'll be a good way of helping our kids be able to understand of respecting women in the industry because they are coming and you can't avoid it. And I don't think it should be avoided, but it's an opportunity for them to continue to learn and develop a different type of characteristic. So that is going to be happening too as well. So they said we're inclusive. So if they want to come out, we give everybody an opportunity. As long as they want to come out, they want to compete, be a part of the family, and are an addition and a positive influence. And I'm more than welcome to bring it on anybody.
Great.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you
Welcome
guys
home.
very much.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda, we have statements from the audience, and the only person who's signed up is Angel Fasolo on the topic Autism Acceptance Month. CHUH, please do better.
So April's autism, some people say Autism Awareness Month. Growing communities calling it Autism Acceptance Month. Other people like the term Autism Inclusion Month. We have a number of autistic students, autistic parents, probably autistic staff members in our schools, in our community. We have a lot who can't access our schools either. We have a lot who face challenges trying to get the appropriate supports they need, and it's a constant struggle. Some kids in our classrooms I've seen firsthand. I know through other families may be called out for basic stimming, where they might have repetitive movements, every child being different, but to have students actually in this day and age be called out by an educational professional. So I think the district doesn't have even the awareness at times, or the acceptance. The proper supports aren't in place. a lot of families, a lot of students who are autistic aren't given the supports that they need. The staff members aren't always given the supports they need to help students and families. And I've seen it, again, like I said, I've seen it myself. I'm not trying to downplay the enthusiasm for the athletics, but I'd like to see some of the same, even a fraction of the enthusiasm and commitment to supporting these individuals. I'm standing in a room where a person in this room was a major force triggering an autistic student, multiple autistic students in this community. There's many of us who would be willing to speak to any board member to help raise awareness, to raise acceptance, to promote inclusion. It needs to be talked about more. There needs to be more education, there needs to be more workshops, there needs to be more moments for inclusion. I typically come here each month and mention the federal lawsuits against the district related to Title IX and civil rights violations. And I think for me, it's hard to dismiss those lawsuits because my family firsthand and other families I know personally have been mistreated and civil rights have been violated while they're dealing with special education and getting needs for their students.
Thank you, Ms. Fasolo. Next, I would like a motion to consider the consent agenda.
I move that we consider the consent agenda.
I second that.
Thank you. Is there any discussion or questions concerning specific parts of the consent agenda?
No, I'll just comment that I like that we're continuing our work with some of the organizations that are mentioned under our quarterly contracts. I know quite a few of them are impactful to our students.
Mr. Gaynor, can you briefly explain the tax rate resolution?
Absolutely. So the tax rate resolution is done on an annual basis. So the county actually reached out to me yesterday. It's their process of setting the millage rates for the district for the upcoming fiscal year. So they, it's technically a formality for most, in particular for our district, because the millage rates are set for everything except for the bond issue. So what they do is they look at what the valuation is, and then they'll adjust the millage, because when the community voted for the bond issue, they voted for whatever millage was sufficient to pay off that bond debt. So they really voted for the amount of debt, and then the millage fluctuates. So if you look at a previous tax rate resolution, you're going to see that the millage was around 6 for the bond debt, and for this one, they've set it at 4.2. So actually, residents are going to see that millage go down, and the tax bill go down for that.
That's great.
And is that because as we pay off the
In part-
bonds, the amount of outstanding debt drops, so it takes a smaller amount of millage to continue paying it off?
In part, the debt repayments are tiered out, so the fluctuations in those amounts will affect, but mostly in this case, it's the values of the property that went up. So
Okay.
significantly have driven down the need for the millage for the debt repayments.
Okay, thank
Is
you.
that related to the sexennial reevaluation?
Correct.
Yes. Those tax bills we all paid recently.
Yes.
Youch. Okay. Any other comments or questions about the consent agenda? No? Okay. Mr. Gaynor, will you call the roll, please?
Ms. Serini,
Yes.
Mr. Trimble,
Yes.
Ms. Crenshaw,
Yes.
Mr. Hines?
Yes.
Ms. Lewis?
Yes. Next, we have the superintendent's report, so I'll pass it
All
over to
right.
you, Ms.
Thank you, and
Kirby.
I was able to get it, oh, thanks, Kate, can you have it up already? Okay.
She beat you to it.
So, yeah, my computer wasn't plugged up correctly, but I figured it out. But I will present our report for the month of April. Well, actually, this is the month of April for the month of March. Definitely has been a very busy March season in the district. Recently, under College and Career Readiness, we had our annual Northeast Suburban College Fair. This is an event not only for our students, but students all over. That was held on Thursday, March 20th at the high school. Always a great opportunity to get information about colleges and universities. There was also a specific session for HBCUs, those, students interested in HBCUs, and also a College Now information session. Also under College and Career, we're very excited that we will have new Gear Up programming starting this spring. This year, we will be joining 9 other surrounding districts as a part of the ESC's Gear Up grant awarded this past fall. And I just want to reiterate that the reason that the ESC even knew about this opportunity is because of our Director of College and Career Readiness, Bob Swaggart, when the next round of grant funding came out, suggested that we partner with districts in the ESC, specifically the first ring, so that more students could have access to this opportunity. So our students will have a group of students. This year, the graduating classes are 20, 30, and 31.
That doesn't make you feel old.
So that's kids who are currently in the 6th and 7th grade. So they will start, and you all, we're very familiar with the Gear Up model. Those students will now have that support that will follow them all the way from middle school through high school. So excited about that, and again, thank you, Bob, just for that vision. And to me, the funny story is everyone all over ESC is always calling Bob about the college and career piece stuff because he's such a well of expertise and also innovation. So we're very lucky that he leads this work for us. Also with our high schools foundation, we had a really exciting time, and Bob joined Laura Lobo and Taylor Smith, the assistant principal for the 12th grade, in March. We spent a day talking to seniors. So we went into their classes and we talked about FAFSA. We talked about senior project and scholarships. So, for the class of 2025, they are facing an uncertain terrain, and so we just wanted to make sure that they were aware of all the resources and supports that we have out there for them. And it was really wonderful hearing from students and talking to them about the opportunities, but also hearing their interests as well. So that was a great day, and we saw increased number of students who want to do senior project. FAFSA submissions went up, and also scholarship submissions went up. One thing that's really great about our district is that we have so many alums who give back and community members who give back that fund scholarships. We have some exciting things we'll be announcing at the upcoming senior awards ceremony as well that I'm excited to share with the community during that scholarship session. Also, the associate degree pathway registration and testing is happening again for our current 8th through 10th grade students pursuing that pathway. And again, great time to have the opportunity to pursue these things. Just the notion of students being able to come out of high school with 2 years of college under their belt is a really great opportunity for our students, and I'm glad that there's remains such high enthusiasm for that. Under goals 1 and 2, we continue with our clarity work. So our professional development provider, Karen Van Das, was here working with our teachers in the Clarity 1 cohort. We have great enthusiasm, continue to have great enthusiasm, and at this point, over 77 teachers signed up for Clarity for next year. And so this is, again, this is something teachers volunteer to do. And they are really embracing that learning. And so it's exciting to see that take off. During the month of March, we also went down to Port Clinton, Ohio, my very first time there for the annual OASL Student Conference. So that is the old Ohio Association of Student Council, but now it's Student Leaders. And quite a few students, districts are starting to come back to that. So we had maybe about 10 kids from Heights come, but there are kids from the first ring who came also this time as well, kids from all over the state. So great workshops, great fellowship. One of our students ran for a statewide office. He did not win, but he's only a freshman, so he's gonna,
He'll win,
you know,
he'll
yeah,
run
and
again,
it is
right?
a caucus. They caucus. They try to get people to vote for them. It's a great experience for the kids. So that was a good time. We are super excited about our summer book fairs that are kicking off. Nicole Zubik, who is one of our coaches, has just really launched a super comprehensive, exciting summer book fair program. I might ask her to actually come to the May board meeting to talk about it, because she's just put together some very exciting opportunities for kids to get really energized around reading. And I am not doing it justice by talking about it now, so I will just ask Nicole to come and share all the things that she's put together. So it's more than just make sure you read this book before your ninth grade class next year. It's really, she's generating enthusiasm across the grade level. So super excited about that. We're very proud of our Heights High singers. The Heights High a cappella choir earned a superior rating at the Ohio Music Educators Association event that was at Menor High School on March 15th. They have performed 3 pieces in the most demanding category. Class AA has the most challenging repertoire to choose from and the most difficult sight singing selections. So they will be in the state competition in May. Very exciting. Our Chinese language students celebrated Lunar New Year. They had a performance on March 4th that was a great success, lively and immersive celebration of the New Year as well. All students in the program participated in fitness dance, the Kung Fu fan dance, a fashion show, and traditional songs as well. So this is always an exciting performance, and I thank the students and the teacher for continuing to stay committed to that. Next, we also had students win the National Design Challenge. So this is comes from our Trimco partnership. Am I correct, Bob? With that? Yep. And this is our first year. So we had 3 students, Derek Fair, Demetriana Blade, and Tyrese Tatum. This is the National Ice Box Championship that they won. And so I believe they had to create an ice box as a scientific demonstration, right? So it's like they're working on those architecture, building skills as well. So this is really exciting. The judges they competed against teams from Boston, Brooklyn, and Charlotte, and this is our first year and we won, so. Wow. Super awesome. You see the enthusiasm there, and I recognize some of those seniors we met on the senior day. Actually, we're talking about the different opportunities and things that they want to do next year. So we really love the Trimco partnership and just the exposure it gives students to each other, but also to professionals across the field and across the country too, as well. At our middle schools, both schools hosted the Power of the Pen tournament. Now, this was in January and February. We do have students who are continuing to move on in Power of the Pen, so I'll be sharing feedback on how those kids do coming out of the next level of competition. Thank you to Gabe and Jody for assisting with the Power of the Pen tournament that happened at Roxborough. We had a coffee with the superintendent on March 6th at Roxborough Elementary School, so that was a really great conversation and a good opportunity to talk about recent district initiatives. In terms of professional staff, we're very excited that both our high school director of orchestras and director of bands are both running for the Manilope Music Teacher Award. So there is online voting that is happening, and we hope that one of our teachers wins this award. So fingers crossed, they're both great professionals. It's a great opportunity. They get, nominated, from people who are recognizing the wonderful things they do.
How do we vote?
Yeah.
There's a link that's in the weekly staff bulletin, but I can send it to you guys.
Please do.
Just to make sure you have that.
I already voted.
Okay. The question is, how do you decide who to vote for?
Well, today you vote for one, tomorrow.
I don't,
Right?
I'm not sure if they're tracking emails, but yeah. I love that picture of Mr. Pace, who is, and I'm also really appreciative of just the wider community that continues to celebrate Mr. Pace. He was recently recognized by Congresswoman Brown at the House of Representatives on March 14th. And recently, he was honored at a Cavs game by the
Monsters.
Cavaliers.
The Monsters, I thought.
Well, I saw him at the
And them too.
Cavs. Oh, he did the Monsters? Yes,
was
so
at the
Mr. Pace is
Monsters
making his
too.
rounds.
All right, all
For
sports,
sure.
we're good.
As he
Okay.
should, as
For
he
As he
sure.
should,
Yep.
yes.
I think he's a very big Cavs fan too, so I was very excited that they were, that they honored him for that. And I received a picture, there is a picture of the bus on fire that was projected on the big screen
Oh, wow.
in Rocket Mortgage. And then he came out and was, received a standing ovation,
Wow.
As
So,
you should.
it's great. This past month, Maintenance Appreciation Day, we celebrated that on March 7th. We really thank our operations staff for keeping us functioning as a school district each and every day. So many things that are happening behind the scenes where if we didn't have our team working so hard, it would be very difficult for us to deliver education for our students. And then just wanted to recognize some upcoming events. Actually, next week, I'm going to be on a panel at Case Western Reserve. This is one of their annual lectures. The topic is adolescent social media use and mental health, helping our kids thrive in a digital age. So I'm excited to talk about that topic from a school perspective. And then on May 17th, there's the annual Heights Tiger Run, 5K and Fun Run that will benefit all of our elementary schools. So, if you're planning on running, please, get your training regimen together so that you can participate without injury. And we will be back off of spring break this Monday, April 7th. We will have some days out come in mid-April, and we will be celebrating our Paraprofessional Appreciation Day, School Librarian Appreciation Day. That's this week, but, we'll celebrate when teachers get back, in addition to Bus Driver Appreciation Day and Administrative Professionals Day on April 23rd. I do not think there's a Reaching Heights Spelling Bee. That might be old. Maybe that was planned before and it just didn't come off the
Yeah, I
calendar.
think I got an email saying it. had
Yeah,
been
I think
canceled.
this was old, yeah.
Yeah.
Before.
And that April 23rd should be the 18th.
Oh, right, that should be the 18th.
For Good Friday.
Yeah.
Oops.
So that concludes my report for March.
I have a question for
Yes.
you. You mentioned the Senior Scholarship Awards Ceremony.
Mm-hmm.
I have that on my calendar as May 6th, which is also a board meeting. So I think that we won't be able to attend,
Okay.
which is sad, because
That
I
is
would like
sad.
to. I have
Well,
enjoyed
I
that.
hope I can attend for a
Oh, you have a senior.
reason, so.
Yeah, you sort of need to. Well,
So that's the
Family
same-
takes
Is it the same
priority.
night? Okay, I didn't realize it was the same night. Okay.
I plugged it into my calendar from something I read.
Okay. All right, well, I will check that.
Just to double check.
That's also
'cause-
Avid Signing Day.
Is that also on the
Yeah,
6th?
Avid Signing Day is during the day.
Yeah.
Yes, that's like after lunch.
Yeah.
And
May
something-
gets really busy.
It does. Oh, and it's election day, because,
Yeah, and something that's not on there is the Cleveland Heights, Creative Heights Arts Show
art show.
opening at the Lee Road Library, which will be Tuesday, April 15th. And the show will be up from May 9th, or April 9th to May 10th.
Okay.
this is the art show at the
The
library.
art show at the library, yeah, at the
Right,
Lee Road
okay,
Library.
which is always fantastic.
Yes, definitely worth it.
Okay. Many things we need to sort out on our calendars.
Yep.
Okay.
So are there other questions about the report? Because I can move to the resolution.
Please move to the resolution.
Right, so, we, every year, will poll our third grade teachers to find out their testing preference for their students for the OST. This will be the OST for next year. The teachers, again, have requested that the students test paper pencil for ELA, but test on the computer for math. Dr. Jenkins, do you happen to have those percentages in front of you? Okay. Yeah, I can pull them up too. It's like 77% of the teachers, something like that, voted for that. But I would.
They
give
know
you-
their students best.
They sure do.
Yeah, hold on, let me just pull it up. So the state requires the board to vote for that as a resolution, which is why that's on the agenda for tonight.
Okay.
And I can tell you, yes, so, third grade paper pencil, 72.7%. And for math, they want that to be online. 59.1% of teachers prefer it to be online. So we are just asking the board to vote for the paper pencil resolution for ELA. We don't have to do anything for math.
Do I
One-
have a motion?
I was going to say, one thing before we do it, I think it's worth noting that in the resolution, it does have exemptions for students with IEPs. If there's the other mode on either test, if their IEP calls for it, that'll be accommodated as well. So that's it.
Okay, thank you.
And the resolution is in board docs publicly, if anybody wants to see it.
Right, yeah. So do I have a motion to accept, vote on? What is going to be the verb for this resolution?
resolution.
To approve the resolution,
I'm-
authorizing required third grade testing.
I move that we approve the resolution.
I second.
Thank you.
Before we move on to the vote, what was used to determine the method? Is it teacher preference, or is it how the students, the outcomes from previous assessments, or was there some student voice in here as well?
Oh, we don't, we have never used student voice, I'll say that. What we did was, I went to one of the grade level team meetings and talked to the teachers. I shared, our performance since we've moved to, paper pencil for ELA. We also did paper pencil for math. This is our first year going back to online for math, so it'll be interesting to, see if that has any impact there. When I look back and looked at performance for third grade ELA, the only other year where we had higher performance, I think it was like 2017 or something, when we were online. Every other year, the performance, our recent performance is much higher, comparably. What the teachers shared, and we also asked them a question, their proficiency in terms of using technology for the task. Now, most of the teachers indicated they thought that the students were proficient with technology for school-related tasks, yet they still voted to do it paper pencil. And just I would say in conversation, I've heard that it's just harder for third graders to type. It takes the time. It's like a timing issue. Where, they just have more time and they also can do more outlining and pre-writing and those kind of pieces.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, my daughter was home during COVID, school from home, and was doing a lot of her ELA typing, and there was a lot of frustration. Just, an N of one, right? But it's tough to morph those two skills. I feel like at that age, it's just they're young.
Mr. Gaynor?
Mr. Trimble,
Yes.
Ms. Crenshaw,
Yes.
Mr. Hines,
Yes.
Ms. Lewis,
Yes.
Ms. Serini.
Yes.
And then our last piece is the final reading of policies, Group C. My understanding is that Treasurer Gaynor is going to do that for Dr. Lombardo because he is out at a training right now?
Yeah, I have agreed to take any notes you have, if there's anything, any changes that you need made. Paul left me his hard copy. Yes. so
Trusted you with
If
that.
there's anything you need changed, it's here.
Well,
But Group
this
C
is
is
the third
the
reading.
third
We've
reading
had-
for Group
we've-
C, so that's
we've
action.
Put our thumbprints all over
Yes, we
these
have.
already.
Correct.
Except, I was going to save this till later, but the Speaker of the House today released his version of the biennial budget, and in it, it includes mandatory 1 day a week, maximum 2 days a week of release time for religious instruction. I can pull this up. Which, who knows what this means and how this is going to affect us, and the policy that we've worked on writing as carefully as we could and as thoughtfully as we could, because, hang on, I know I can find it.
Remember, there's 20 weeks between now and when
Between
anything
now
matters.
and, right, the House version, the Senate version, and the governor's version, which seems to be ignored right now. But, yeah, so,
There's a lot of horses that are going to be traded between now and then.
and, you know, we think we are doing what we are mandated to do by state law. It all could go out the window in the next few weeks, so, okay.
And most of them don't care about state law anyway.
They
Oh,
are the state
Did I say the quiet stuff out
lawmakers.
loud again?
Yeah, you said that out loud. Okay. So we need a motion to accept
Group C,
policies Group C for their final reading.
yes.
I motion that we accept the final reading of Policy Group C.
Second.
Any other comments? Nope. Mr. Gaynor?
Ms. Crenshaw,
Yes.
Mr. Heinz,
Yes.
Ms. Lewis,
Yes.
Ms. Serini,
Yes,
Mr. Trimble.
Yes.
And now we have the first reading of Group D, which is a large group of policies.
And Dr. Lombardo has that Group D, first reading April 1st, second reading May 6th, and final reading June 3rd. So as you review the policies, if you want to submit any comments or any proposed adjustments, we can do that by email as well, as you work through those. 'Cause there are a bunch, as you've mentioned.
And one of the ones in this group, of course, is another piece of state law, which we have to have in place by the end of the month of June, so that it will be applicable next school year. Oh, and I'm not going to find the number now, because that would require my brain to work properly. The Bill of Rights, so policy 5780. Interestingly, Ohio Revised Code calls it the Parental Bill of Rights, but this policy is just called Bill of Rights without parents' names in it. We will be looking at this one very closely, obviously to make sure that it aligns with our existing policies and the needs of our community. That's all I know right now about those.
I had a couple quick questions, Scott, if you wouldn't mind just jotting down for Dr.
Will do.
Lombardo.
Yep.
On the automated external defibrillator policy, there was everything in green is additions, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so there was an addition to the second paragraph that says that they will be placed, this is the addition, and at each sports and recreation facility under the board's control. And so I had a question as to outdoor sports. I mean, it's one thing to have it hanging up in the gym, but when we've got sports seasons where there's multiple concurrent things happening outdoors, sort of how the district would handle that, or do we have to purchase more equipment? Where do they go? Are they just on the bench? All that kind of stuff.
Gotcha.
That was my question with that one. Anybody have
Well, I would also say what is under the board's control. For instance, we use tennis courts at King Park.
Soccer field at Denison,
Are those, I mean, and I'm all for AEDs everywhere.
right.
For the hockey rink.
They're probably at the hockey rink.
is one.
But it's a really important thing for folks to familiarize themselves with their locations. I've had to use one on a kid. And
That sounds terrifying.
you're very glad you have it. So, this is great, if you ask me. Can't spend too much money on AEDs.
It wasn't immediately clear to me, actually, it's currently not clear to me. Is there a replacement policy for the ODE special education policy that's all red? Like it's a,
Yes, it's been replaced.
okay, was that in this group or is that in a different group? Did I just miss it?
Send us a note on that.
It's in this one. Well, this one's all read it out.
Yeah, no, that one is replaced. I'm sorry, I don't have it at my fingertips.
No, that's fine.
But there is a replacement policy, and I think that will be in a future group.
Trying to find it.
Well, it leaves
That
us
is a
just with
massive
bated breath
policy.
for policy group E.
Yes, right.
sure.
The letter E will be very
Yeah.
interesting.
So 2460.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought he sent us a note saying that that's still being worked by DEW, but I
That's
could be wrong
right.
about that.
No, that's exactly right. There are things happening at the state level. We don't have the policy yet.
Well, and this is all tied in with,
Be nice.
yeah.
Yeah, that policy is extensive.
Yeah, and the whole thing's gone.
And my last one
Find it
is
here.
another new policy, under drug-free workplace. And this is just for clarification, not passing judgment one way or the other on this. The board shall not permit the manufacture, possession, use, distribution, or dispensing of any controlled substance, alcohol, and any drug paraphernalia, blah, 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 by any member of the district's administrative staff at any time while on district property or involved in any district-related event. It's extremely, extremely limited, but I can think of, I guess, teacher appreciation events that are off campus at a rented facility where alcohol is present, just making sure that events like that are not contradicted by this policy. Or if so, do they need to change?
I'm thinking EpiPens.
It's a controlled substance.
Controlled substance. It's a drug.
But an EpiPen would be covered by the dispensing use of medications policy. Oh, goodness.
So we just need to make sure that we're,
That,
Yeah, I mean, it's extremely edge case, but there were a couple things where I thought we might want to have,
you don't want to assume when it
Right.
comes to
Okay.
law.
yeah,
And we don't want to put our administrators or teachers in
2460.
a bad spot.
Got it.
that was it for me.
The only unfortunate thing about that is it precludes the chemistry class where you learn how to distill vodka. But anyway.
Important life skills.
Important life skills. Okay,
Manufacturer.
I guess that's it for Group D right now.
Okay.
We have lots of
Pass on.
homework. Okay. And so now it's your turn wearing your normal hat, Mr. Gaynor.
Yes. All right, so we have, for the treasurer's report tonight, our three things. With all that's going on all over the place at all levels of government, I could have about 50 things, and in particular, as Molly mentioned, with the
Today.
today's, drop, some distressing news in that version of the bill, in particular around the amount of money that they want to give to schools and really pretty much abandoning the Fair School Funding Plan altogether. But also what was making the rounds with the first-ring treasurers today was that the provision that if you have more than 25% of your annual operating budget
And savings.
Cash on
cash,
hand?
that you must, that the county will then, so we passed the tax rate resolution tonight, but that the county will reach around that and actually adjust your millage to address that. Because in their estimation, if you have over 25% of an annual operating budget in cash, you don't need the levies that the community has passed on your behalf. So that is problematic, in particular if you understand, as we've talked about, the levy cycle, where you inevitably have excess cash at the front end because your funding is flat and your
Right.
expenses are rising. So when you calculate your millage cycle, at the front end, you're always going to have excess cash. And then at your midpoint, you're spending what you're receiving, and then at the back end, you're spending down that reserve. So
Your
that's
deficit
problematic.
spending at the tail end of your levy cycle.
Absolutely. So
And
depending
it's-
on where districts are in that cycle, that's problematic. Also problematic for districts who have debt because Moody's and Standard & Poor's look at your cash reserves. And
Yeah.
if you have, that kind of the 25% is a benchmark, and that's how you get your bond rating, which then affects the, amount of interest you have to pay based on that. So it's just, there's nothing good about it, and a lot of the treasurers were even talking about, how would that process work, even because in terms of collections and timing, and, by the time they would make some adjustment, then probably what was being collected, and with delinquencies, all those things would change, and so how does that even become managed? So, as Dan mentioned, it's going through the process, I think we just need to make sure to advocate against that kind of stuff. Back to the Fair School Funding Plan, the inputs being not only there, but updated to current, and, then hope that we can advocate for those kinds of things. I mean, certainly, property tax reform is a big issue, and that's something that, all the legislators are really big into and wanting to try to do something about. This is not the answer to that.
But that also means it's a disincentive to be fiscally responsible as a board on how
Absolutely.
you spend your money. And I'm sure there's no provision that if you're a charter or non-public school that accepts vouchers, that if you have any savings, that your voucher money would get cut. Because clearly you don't need it then.
Absolutely not.
But we don't know. Vouchers are, or private schools are completely outside of
Right, we
our
wouldn't know.
realm
Nobody would know.
of inquiry. They could be sitting on, heaven only knows.
Well, and it's problematic too. We've talked about, we may receive the lion's share of property taxes, but we don't get them all. So all those other entities, parks and the library and everyone else,
Governments.
what happens if all of a sudden those millage amounts are starting to be adjusted, then all those entities are affected, and they may or may not be in the same situation as we are. So, what is the rationale there in trying to determine what the impact is on them? So it's just a mess.
West Geauga schools were forced to refund their taxpayers' money last year because an independent county agency determined that they had too much money. And they had to give it back.
That gets to the point where the county actually, comes in and says, they look at your 5-year forecast and say, oh, wait a minute, you have a bus, purchase in your 5-year forecast, maybe you really don't need that. And therefore, we're going to adjust the millage down that you're able to collect. So it really is just contrary to, having a school board here, having your community pass levies to support you to the level that you want, and then for the county to come, in behind all of that and say, no, I don't think you really need that much.
Well, it's also, the
crazy.
community votes to support the district to the level that the community wants.
Correct.
Right?
Absolutely.
Our job is to educate our children and to provide what the community is willing to pay for. If the community didn't want it, they wouldn't be paying for it.
And the community gratefully trust us, and hopefully we've earned their trust. So who cares what they think in Columbus?
Yes.
But so
I mean, the people in
essentially,
Columbus care a
More to
lot.
come on all that.
but essentially, the state can have a rainy day fund, but
Right.
we
A very
cannot.
large
Good
day
point,
fund.
That is
good point
correct.
on
That
that.
is
They
a good
did
point,
not
yes.
tap during a global pandemic. They didn't touch their rainy day fund. What did they do? How did they balance the books during the pandemic? They insisted on a rebate of what they had promised to Ohio's public schools. Remember?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Not only did they cut what we were gonna get, they actually took back
some of
some
it,
of what they gave.
They did.
So they balanced the budget on the backs of Ohio's public school children, not the hedge fund managers of the rainy day fund. That tells you a lot about priorities.
Sounds a little hypocritical to me, yes. Agreed. So lots of things going on. So I said, it's funny because as I did the three things for this month, really they were more about everything that was happening with Social Security and retirement, and that was kind of top of mind for everyone. And so I thought, well, there's some, some items that we've not talked about in three things before that we could. And, then of course all these other things happen. And, as Dan pointed out, even today, they're trying to, if you've not spent all your ESSER money, then
Yes.
all of a sudden they're trying to claw that back, or even just to say, we're not going to pay out anything else if you haven't already done that. So fortunately, to Dan's question is, what does this mean for us? We spent our ESSER money. And so, when we already asked for the reimbursements, and we did not have to ask for an extension, but many districts did. And so any of those extensions and contracts that they've put in place and services that they've had rendered, now as they're submitting for reimbursement, the state's saying no, or the feds are saying.
The feds.
The
This
feds
is,
are
this
saying
is
no.
The
the,
feds are killing that one.
the new
So-
administration.
So that's, it's tough times, for sure. So very quickly then, for the three things for this month, we just want to talk about the various, and kind of this is top of mind because of bargaining as well. And just having the community and everyone understand, in terms of public employees and school employees, what we contribute to, the pension plans that we contribute to. So STRS is thing number one, state teachers retirement system. One of the largest pension funds in the United States, as it says here, over 500,000 educators involved with that. It either provides a defined benefit pension plan, a defined contribution plan, or a combination. So typically, it's always been a defined benefit pension plan based on your years of service. And your age, you get a certain percentage of your salary as a pension for the rest of your life. Now they've really tried to push where they're saying, okay, well, maybe we can have more of a hybrid or a defined contribution plan, and so it's more like a savings, like a traditional 401k or something like that. But STRS is covering all of your certificated and licensed staff. So, and members and employers both contribute 14% of earnings to that, much as a private employer would pay to Social Security. And the second thing we have is SERS, so anyone who's not an ST but works for public schools. So, you have your administrative assistants, maintenance, bus drivers, food service, aides, treasurers, are all in SERS, even though we're licensed, we're in this classified union, or I'm sorry, classified retirement system. Third largest public pension fund, a little different, only defined benefit pension plan here based on age and years of service. And members contribute 10%, and the employers contribute 14% to this plan as well. So again, this is one of the factors when we're determining cost of living increases for employees and bargaining, that you always have to remember that this cost is on top of any of those kinds of things that are shared out. And the last thing, which was actually a good thing, and this happened with the last administration in December, and a lot of people I know who work for schools were sitting around just waiting and hoping that this would pass, Social Security Fairness Act. So Senate Bill 597 passed in December 24 and signed by Biden, which really what it does is if you work for schools and you work for a private employer and you paid Social Security, it allows you to receive both. Where before, there were a handful of states across the country, I think it was a dozen to 15, where if you had a public pension, then it would, and you had paid into Social Security, generally you didn't get the Social Security piece, it was offset. So they had what they called either government pension offset, whether it was a spouse or a widow or someone else who was receiving the benefits, or a windfall elimination provision. So lots of public employees very happy. And again, this is something that hopefully will encourage more people, not that I think people sit back at necessarily when they're looking for jobs in public schools, but some perhaps do, and they say, well, I've contributed to Social Security for this long, I don't necessarily want to take a public pension because then I'm going to have one will offset the other. In this case, now, if you've contributed to both, you get what you're entitled to from both.
Right, well, because if you're paying into Social Security, that is your money, just as if you're paying into STRS or SCRS, it is your money that's being matched, but that first portion is still yours.
Correct.
So you, yeah.
I was 36 when I became a teacher. I had worked for a few of those years.
Before.
A one or two.
Not as many as I probably should have. But, I paid into Social Security for all those years. Why should I just have to walk away from something that I had contributed to? And yet that was the law for all of these years. So it was really, it's also worth pointing out that Sherrod Brown really led that charge.
He really did,
Yes.
yes,
He did.
absolutely.
Yeah, it was a disincentive to switch either into the private sector or into the public sector mid-career.
Correct. Yeah, so at any rate, so retirement, but just one of many things that's been happening right now that we're paying close attention to, but it seems like every week it's something else.
Yeah, it's, you gotta just sort of take everything with a grain of salt.
You
and
do.
a little bit of namaste here and there, and write letters and testify and all that stuff, but,
Absolutely.
because
And
they
make
will
phone
do what they
calls.
can get away
Make
with.
phone calls, then
Make
that's,
Yeah,
phone calls.
if they actually answer their phone.
Well, leave a message.
fill the voicemail.
Yeah.
Yes, fill the
So I was
voicemail.
going to, in my report, tell you about all sorts of things that have happened, like the Education Leaders Summit, which I attended, and the wonderful kindergarten information nights, which we all
Yeah.
spread out to cover.
Those are so fun.
And then there was this press conference at 12:30. So I'm not going to tell you about the Education Leaders Summit, and I'm not going to tell you about the kindergarten information nights, though both were, wonderful. I am going to tell people to call the Speaker of the House, Matt Huffman, at 614-466-6344, and tell him that you are a voter in Ohio and you want him to fully fund the Fair School Funding Plan with updated data inputs. None of us go to the grocery store expecting to pay 2022 prices for eggs. We know that they have 2025 price tags attached to them. How can anybody expect us to budget for next school year using 2022 prices for anything? The Fair School Funding Plan was supposed to be implemented in 1 year. The State House said, this is too big a deal, too big a change, we can't handle it. We're going to phase it in over 6 years, over 3 biennial budgets. This is the third one that they're negotiating. They need to do what they said they were going to do. So that phone number again, 614-466-6344. Fully fund the Fair School Funding Plan and stop messing around with the future of 90% of Ohio's children. The state constitution requires that we provide public education for every child in the state, and it needs to be funded by the state budget. And that's all I'm going to say, because I'm furious. Board committee reports.
So I will just report on the Heights Athletic Boosters, who are inviting the community to join us for Tiger Week, which is April 16th through the 23rd. Just inviting the community out and any youth players to join the Athletic Boosters at a variety of games during that week. Again, asking youth players to wear their uniform to show their Tiger Nation pride. Spring banners have arrived and are being put up for students. And also, the athletic boosters will be giving out two $1,000 memorial scholarships for Javon Pryor this spring. So,
That's wonderful.
CHUH PTA Council has a fundraising event on Saturday, April 26th. It is the Junk in the Trunk Flea Market at Delisle. So April 26th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., and there's no rain date.
No rain date, so it better not rain,
Yes, no
because
April
it's going to be
showers.
outside in the parking lot, right?
That is my understanding.
Okay,
That's the trunk component.
great. Jody, do you have anything?
Just that there is a Recruitment and Retention Advisory Committee meeting coming up on April 15th, and also the Recruitment and Retention Committee launched its affinity groups for employees, and there are several people who've joined and are leading those groups.
Wonderful.
So, to help make staff feel more included, depending on what group they want to be associated with.
Dan?
I got nothing.
You're going to tell us what you did in Atlanta.
Yes, I'll do that, absolutely. I had the real pleasure of attending my first Council of State School Boards Association conference. Left Thursday and came home Tuesday. It was in Atlanta, and it was well done. You know, I'm very, I really like NSBA's stuff, so I was a little wary of COSPA. But some interesting things happened. For those of you who are not aware, a few years ago, there was sort of a split within national school boards, state school boards associations. They left the National School Board, about half of them left the National School Board Association and created their own new Council of State School Boards Association, basically a mirror organization, but from remarkably red states. Although they insisted that was purely coincidental. So I went, and it was very well done. It was a very good conference. The session that I enjoyed the most was, only because it was a little bit funny, they had a hot topics on the legal landscape session, which, because of all of the chaos that's been coming out of DC,
That was 6 hours long.
it was, I counted, there was 200-plus people in the room, literally overflowing into the halls, standing room only. And there was a lot of, yeah, this is terrible, but hang on, the courts are going to have to work it out. Everything is just, the courts are going to have to work it out. So we're kind of accustomed to that. But there was also a really good session on the cost of school choice. There was a school district in Minnesota that has done extensive work on really researching what the cost of school choice movements are to the state of Minnesota. I found that fascinating. Went to a great session on AI in the application of AI stuff in schools, which the more I'm learning, the more interested and excited I'm getting. And then I also had the pleasure of stopping in at one of Bruce Hennis's sessions on crisis communications. And, you know, I've known Bruce since I was really just a little kid. And he had me introduce him. And he did, boy, did he do a good job. He is just so great at that work. So, yeah, it was a really worthwhile, it was a long trip, it was a long time to be away from home, but very worthwhile. Learned a lot, had a great time meeting new people from around the country, seeing some old friends from around the country. It's really time well spent.
And I'm going to be going to National School Boards Association in Atlanta.
Very soon, right?
On Thursday.
Okay, there you go, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
right, you can't go to both of these things if they're in the same
No.
place and there's, anyway. Thank you. Do we have any new business?
I would like to just point out that the NPE conference is this coming weekend in Columbus. Liz Kirby is going to be presenting on a panel on, is that Saturday? Sunday, right, Sunday, from 12:05 to 1:10. And she is going to be on a panel with a man named Josh Cowan. Have you read the book?
I have the book, I haven't read it yet.
It's so good. So he wrote a book, he has recently published another book called The Privateers.
I just bought it.
And so the Audible is also really good. There's a guy who reads most of my books in the car.
You read your books on tape.
Yes, yeah. I've read a ton of books, as you can imagine, about alternate fundings and school choice and vouchers, and Privateers is by far the best book I've ever read, listened to. So I'm kind of, a little starstruck by going to meet Mr. Cowan. It's a great book, and it's short, and I'm hoping to have an opportunity while I'm there to also meet a colleague who I am also a little starstruck from. His name is Tim Walls.
Yes,
So,
a social studies teacher.
that's
I
right,
hear.
we're
Yeah,
colleagues, right? We're
yeah.
colleagues. So then I'm also presenting, I'm going to be the moderator of a panel discussion on vouchers hurt. It's called the Ohio Story, Part 1, Winning in the Court of Law, with some of my good friends at the Vouchers Hurt Ohio group. And we will be on Saturday from 3:40 to 4:50.
Now, the lawsuit has broken 300-member
Yeah,
districts,
we've
if I
had
remember correctly.
there's
been a lot of new-
been a great deal of work done behind the scenes. I'll be doing another presentation tomorrow night out in Orange this time. I was down in Stowe last week. So we're,
You saw Dr. Gould.
I should have stopped down to see Dr. Gould. We're on the road a lot, and the work is having really great results. We are at almost half the districts in the state of Ohio have at least at one time been part of the lawsuit. We are very eager to get into court this summer. And the other side basically is no longer even offering a legal defense because it's just so clear. They seem to be, counting on their Alamo being the Ohio Supreme Court. It's a good Alamo. But remember, when the law is on your side, what you want is a conservative court. Strict constructionist court is what you want, and we've got great law on our side. So we'll see. And in the meantime, we cause a little bit of good trouble and work hard. So things like the NPE conference, though, are really great opportunities. The NPE conference, at this conference, picks the state that's in the worst place in terms of financing public education, and that's where they choose to have next year's conference. Think about that in terms of, we're here in Ohio next weekend. I'm not kidding, that's exactly how they decided. Where are we needed most? They decided that they were needed most right here in Ohio last year. And we've got real heroes in this community. Susie Kaiser is deeply involved in this community.
Dan Ressinger.
Jan is
Ressinger.
Ressinger is a rock star in this community, and they were very influential in convincing those who make the decisions. Hey, this is like putting up the bat spotlight, for Batman to come. This is Batman. So, and it's good for the economy. So, it'll be a fun weekend.
Thank you. Do we have any unfinished business? Nope. Correspondence, announcements? We seem to have been full of announcements all evening. Then I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I will offer a motion to adjourn.
And I'll second.
Under twin powers.
Mr. Gaynor?
Mr. Hines,
Yes.
Ms. Lewis,
Yes.
Ms. Serini,
Yes.
Mr. Trimble,
Yes.
Ms. Crenshaw.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.